I went through every word in HSK4 and categorized them by number of characters. Here's what I found. There are 112 one-character words, 466 two-character words, 21 three-character words, and just one four-character word. Crazy, right? But this is not a fluke, and with more advanced vocabulary, the discrepancy becomes even larger. In HSK6, almost 90% of the entries are two-character words. So clearly something is going on here, but why the heck is Chinese obsessed with two-syllable words? Let's find out. It wasn't always this way. In ancient times, most of the original words for familiar ideas were only one character. Prior to 200 BC, approximately 20% of the written language were disyllabic, or having two syllables. But as the language expanded, so did the need to reuse characters. Now, over 80% of Chinese is composed of disyllabic words. After all, modern Chinese uses 3,500 common characters and you're already complaining. Imagine if it was 7,000 or 15,000? Yeah, let's not. This is in part the reason you'll run into different words for the same idea, like how 日 and 太阳 both mean sun, 月 and 月亮 both mean moon, and 目 and 眼睛 both mean eye. A lot of two-syllable words are in fact modern creations, and as the world industrialized in the last century, you'll notice that most of the Chinese words for modern inventions are two-syllable words. It just makes more sense to create new words by combining existing characters as opposed to creating completely new characters. And these words usually make a lot of sense when you realize what they mean. 汽车, car, means gas vehicle. 手机, cell phone, means hand machine. And 西装, suit, literally means West attire. But two-syllable compound words are not just a construct for modern inventions, but a critical element of the Chinese language, accounting for the majority of common vocabulary and creating vivid language with less characters. So let's learn about the various ways compound words are constructed in Chinese. There are basically three major types of compound words. The first type are reduplicated words, like 谢谢, thanks, 慢慢, slowly, or 天天, all the time. The second type are derivative words, and in Chinese, most of these words involve a root word and a suffix, like 帽子, hat, 石头, rock, or 读者, reader. The last and most important type are double root words, like 汽车, car, 楼上, upstairs, or 美丽, beautiful. I will also note that not all two-syllable words are compound words. There's a category of words called 连绵词, or binding words. These are words that contain only one morpheme or idea, despite having two characters, but are meaningless or lose its meaning if the characters are separated. A good example you might know is 垃圾, garbage. Both of these characters by themselves are actually meaningless and only mean garbage when combined. An easy way to identify these words is if you try to look up the individual characters in a dictionary and the dictionary says, see the complete form of the word, then it usually means it's a binding word. But in this video, I only want to focus on compound words because those are far more useful for your learning. So let's discuss them in detail. The first type, reduplicated words, 重叠词, are theoretically the simplest. It's just one character repeated, but they're not easy to explain. One of the common functions of repeating a character, though, is to make a word into an adverb. For example, 慢 means slow, but 慢慢 means slowly. 往 means previous or past, so 往往 means tends to, implying that if something has already happened a certain way, then it will likely happen that way again. Finally, 天 means day, and 天天 means every day or all the time. As a note, some reduplication of adjectives like 凉 versus 凉凉的 doesn't exactly make a new word, but does give it a slightly different nuance. Honestly, the whole idea of reduplication is quite an interesting topic, but can be difficult to decipher, so I'll save the details for another day. Derivative words, or 派生词, are the easiest to explain because they're relatively familiar to English speakers. It involves a root word and an affix, which provides more information about the root word. In the last video, we talked about how 子 objectifies the preceding character. So in 帽子, it would indicate that the 帽 is an object. We also talked about 者 and how this character indicates one who is. So 读者 would mean reader, for example. This is no different than how the er suffix in English indicates one who is doing something. There are also derivative words involving prefixes as well, like 老 is a common prefix of endearment. For example, you can call your dad 老爸, the elder in a group 老大, and of course, a word you probably all know, 老师, teacher. The third type, 复合词, which I will call double root words, are the most complex. The idea is that both of the characters are root words, and neither can be classified as a prefix or suffix. Oh, by the way, remember the last video when I said that di acted as a prefix and suffix in difang and ludi? Okay, I kind of lied, because at that time I wanted to use concepts you're familiar with to help prove a point. But now that you have a deeper understanding, it's time to tell you the truth that both of these words fall into this category of compound words. However, that doesn't mean that there won't be a dominant character and a secondary character. In fact, that's the easiest way to think about these words. Either the first character is dominant, the second character is dominant, or they contribute equally to the meaning. I'll give you examples of all three. Examples of the first character being dominant. 年轻 means young, where 年, year, is the dominant character, and 轻, light, modifies it. So if your years are light, then you are young. 楼上 means upstairs, where 楼, building, is the dominant character, and 上, up, modifies it. So the upper part of a building. Examples of the second character being dominant. 电脑 means computer, where 电 means electric and is modifying the following character, 脑, brain. So computer then means electronic brain. One word for happy in Chinese is 开心, where 开 means open and is describing the second character, 心, which is heart. So this word literally means open heart. The last category is where both characters are equally important, and this one is quite complex in of itself and can be further divided into subcategories. Our examples in the last video, 美丽 and 眼睛, fall into this category, and are examples where the meaning of both characters are quite similar. But they can be opposites as well, like 大小, literally meaning big and small, is a word for size. 反正 is an interesting word. It literally means flip side and right side, but what it actually means is anyways, or either way. Of course, they can also be somewhere in the middle. For example, 普遍 is a word where the characters build on each other. 普 means common, and 遍 means everywhere. So combined, this word means widespread. Here's the tip. Get in the habit of breaking down new words you learn and try to understand how each character contributes to the nuance of that word. Doing this will help you understand the subtle differences between similar words. For example, do you know the difference between 帮助 and 帮忙? Now that you have an idea of how compound words function in Chinese, you might be wondering, why aren't there more 3 or 4 syllable compound words? The short answer is, there's no need to. 2 characters is all that's necessary to create most adjectives and verbs, and nouns are the only types of words that could use more syllables, due to modernization. In fact, you'll notice that most 3 and 4 syllable words in Chinese are modern concepts, like 信用卡, credit card, 互联网, internet, or 公共汽车, public bus. There are also a lot of 3-syllable words that involve infixes, which is like a prefix or suffix, but in the middle of the word. For example, 对不起, sorry, falls into this category. By the way, these words are in fact a type of derivative word. I didn't discuss them earlier because this video is focused on 2-syllable compound words. To be honest though, it's not all that important for you to understand how this all works. Instead, use this knowledge to help you learn better. In my opinion, the biggest takeaway from this video should be that a Chinese character is a unit of idea that can be manipulated and combined with other characters to create new ideas. So don't treat a character like a word with a static meaning, because it isn't. It's fluid and can change depending on the context. Here's an analogy. Forming words in Chinese is like cooking, and the characters are the ingredients. Sugar is sweet and will always be sweet, but if you combine it with heat, it will caramelize, resulting in a new, unique flavor that is still undeniably sweet. The character I will always have the property of love, but depending on what you combine it with, a new flavor can be formed. 可爱 means cute, whereas 爱心 means compassion. So put this into practice and I think you'll start to have a deeper understanding of Chinese words and be able to learn them faster. Thanks for watching，我们下一次再见了，拜拜。